All right, guys. Welcome in to episode two, well, season two of the Walker Lads. Season one, just not season one, week one just finished. Um, pretty fun week. A lot of
I think it
upsets.
was a crazy week.
Yeah,
Any this is why I love the NFL. Any kind of like upsets happen like no matter what.
yeah. But
Like there's no reason as to why the Raiders should have beat the Ravens Monday night. But like the Raiders do this every year where they beat like high playoff caliber team.
yep. The
I
Ravens,
just love that
best team
stuff that happen like that.
for the last under Gruden. They're one of the best teams every year to start the year, like first couple weeks of the season. And I said that I almost picked the Raiders. I really did, like in our. But I just thought the Ravens was a better team. But that stadium was electric. That was a lot of fun, and I was actually happy. It was a great game too. So,
Dude, that defensive line played out of their mind.
yep, Yannick.
Max Crosby was looking like prime JJ Watt
I know, and Yannick made a big difference too before he got injured.
before he's like, yeah, that was like in the first half.
The offensive line's in trouble this year. Yeah, so I mean that's going to be something to watch all year.
I think the offense though will look. Should we just get into or whatever? We'll get into talk about Raiders. I think that the offense will actually be better once they can get some of their pieces back. Like when Bateman comes back off IR, I think it's going to be a huge help because I don't think Sammy Watkins is going to play the full season. So it's like substituting Sammy Watkins for Bateman. So I think just having his presence as an outside threat will help because they need more receiving options. There's no reason as to why Mark Andrews should only have like 5 targets in a game.
Yep.
That's unacceptable. There's no reason why, honestly, Lamar should be fumbling twice at one time in overtime. That's unacceptable. And I get it, like, he's their main source of offense, so he's tired, he's running around, but, like, those fumbles were kind of inexcusable. Just, like, tuck in the ball, stop running with, like, the Michael Vick where he would run with it out. He has to, cut that out. But Derek Carr played it. Derek Carr's stats looked better than he actually played. Derek Carr was inaccurate with the football on Monday night.
So I missed the first half because I was coming home from the airport. But when I seen him in the third quarter, like he went off from the third quarter all the way into.
No, I understand that, but like I was playing like extra attention just because like I was curious because Darren Waller throughout the game they kept mentioning like how many targets he was getting
19,
and how good he looks, whatever.
19 for the whole game.
But and he had a lot of drops, but some of them were his fault. Like there was one where he tried like one-handing catching it, but like every single ball, almost every single one of those targets, Derek Carr threw behind him. Like if it was a slant route, he would throw it behind him. So like rather than running in stride to catch it, you have to bend backwards to try to catch it, or like the one-hander. Even though he could have gotten it with 2 hands, like it was still behind him. He had to go like that. So he used 2 hands to get it, but Derek Carr needs to be more accurate with the football because they're not going to get away with winning that game against another playoff caliber team.
That's
if they play like that.
That's a funny.
My boy Brian Edwards came alive in the fourth quarter in overtime. I was happy to see that. I'm a big Brian Edwards guy.
2 big plays back to back. So
should have been that touch. He should have gotten in, but he was just a yard short.
I thought he did get in. That celebration when everyone thought he got in was like electric. So you could hear the fans. It was crazy.
I know, and even the Ravens players were like dabbing everybody up.
Yeah,
saying good game and all that.
But that was one for that was some way to kick off week 1, like Monday Night Football. That's one of those great games. But all right, let's hop into the first game of this week. I don't know if you looked at the schedule. The next couple Thursday night games probably won't be so pretty.
But I didn't see that. I only know what we have tomorrow night.
Let's start with this one. Well, it's Giants. Is it at Washington or is that New York?
At Washington.
At Washington. So these teams are both 0-1.
Fitzpatrick IR.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick's injured. So like it's kind of a tough break for Washington already. Like they played well, but obviously the Chargers won, and but they were playing against Justin Herbert, and I think the Chargers are going to make a playoff this year, so or at least playoff push. This is a very hard game because I do think Washington's a better football team, but the Giants did sweep them last year. Like this seems to be one of those matchups where the Giants just kind of have their number, and Fitzpatrick's not playing on a short week. So I know Heineke was here last year. It is the same offense, so like it's not like a brand new system. It's in Washington. Like usually the Thursday night games favor the home team because it's like a 3-day turnaround. But I might be wrong on this, and I might even switch this. But for right now, I'm going to go with the Giants. My stance on the Giants hasn't changed since the offseason. I still think they're a 6 or 7 win team. Daniel Jones, like the Denver game, I think was a little bit misleading in terms of the score. Like there's a couple chances the Giants could have had, but when your quarterback turns the ball over like that, which he continuously does, you're just not going to make the playoffs. And I actually think the NFC East is a little bit better this year than people thought. I don't think it's the worst division in football again. But we'll get into that. What I think is the worst division in football, but yeah, I'm gonna go Giants in this one. But I do think it'll be a close game. I think
Okay.
it's kind of an ugly game. So
So I like that we're starting off a little differing opinions. I'm actually going to go Washington despite the Ryan Fitzpatrick injury because while he was still there, whatever in the first quarter, I forgot at what point. I think it was in the first quarter he got hurt. Could have been the second though. He did not look good. Now that could just be, he's 37 years old. It's rust. It's the first week back kind of thing, which is understandable. But let's not forget the last time we saw Heineke, even though Heineke didn't look too great filling in. But again, he's going to get the first team reps going forward and all that, so maybe that'll help. Last time we saw him against Tampa Bay, when we were watching that playoff game, we all thought that Washington had a chance to beat Brady.
he plays like that.
They were close.
They'll hammer the Giants if they play like that. So
yeah, and the defense should be better now than it was then. And just football fundamentals, the way I'm going with this game, even though I think Barkley's going to get more of a workload, which is good, like a 15 to 20% bump in terms of like carries and stuff. I don't know how effective it's going to be behind that offensive line and against this defensive line. I'm just going to go with the hog mollies. I'm going with Chase Young. Honestly, even though I don't think Evan Ingram's like this great tight end, I think if he was playing in this game, it would have been a huge help for Daniel Jones, especially because Washington hasn't been known for defending the tight end position well. No Evan Ingram for the next 3 weeks. So I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but what happened?
I thought Ingram was questionable this week.
He's not going to play for another 2 or 3 weeks. He's not ready.
Another Kyle Rudolph performance.
Yeah, they're not going to rush him back for week 2. I think he's going to come back maybe week 4. I don't even think he'll be ready next week. Unless the Giants lose this game, start 0-2, and they're desperate, they might rush him back. But he's not going to be ready for Thursday night. I'm going to go Washington and the big guys up front.
Yeah. I mean, your pick makes a lot of sense. I'm just a little bit scarred from last year. I just think this is one of Washington for me have the better front. Everything you're saying makes sense, but for some reason, I think Daniel Jones plays well against Washington too.
He does. The Giants, even before Daniel Jones, the Giants just have always been good against Washington. And look, there's still a chance. Again, divisional games, anything could happen.
Yep.
I'm still reserving my, right to switch to the Giants, but I think I'm pretty sure I'm just going to stick with Washington as the best bet. So I'm going to do that.
The loser of this team's already out of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, especially in that division. Like you said, it's better than years past.
Yep.
To start 0-2, I think everybody wrote off the Eagles early.
I knew it.
No, I know, not you. I'm still not high on the Eagles, but
but not yet. Not for me. What I told everyone is they weren't going to finish in the top 3 or 5 picks in the draft, which people were thinking. And
that's what people were projecting. I remember when we did a video in the offseason, me, you, Markello, we were talking about the bottom teams in the league, and then I think we all said that the Eagles should not be this low.
Yeah.
To wherever in the range of the Lions and the Texans, they didn't belong in that category.
It was just questions about the new coach. He definitely he outcoached Arthur Smith in week 1, but there's still a long way to go. I will say this now, like we said in the last week's episode, especially this year since there's 18 weeks. I do think week 1 was kind of like preseason feels. I think there's a lot of rust. There's a lot of just issues going on. I think even week 2, I think it'll start to be better. But I do think in week 2 is almost another preseason type-ish. You don't really know yet. I think when you'll start seeing teams getting an identity in week 3, but it's still I still think the Eagles are going to win more games than people think.
So let's just transition into the Eagles game then.
Okay.
San Francisco 49ers going to Philly.
Yeah, so this is an interesting game. The 49ers were up pretty big against the Lions. The Lions really
gave up a lead.
Back. Yeah, Dan Campbell. Listen, I've seen the Lions under Matt Patricia get blown out, by the Jets, and I'm kind of glad the Lions fought back and had we're not lying down. It's week 1, it's a long season to go, but they didn't just mail it in. And for me, I take good things from that, honestly, even though we expect the Lions aren't going to win many games this year. To see them fight like that was encouraging. But with that being said, the 49ers unfortunately lost Jason Verrett for the year. That's a big blow to their secondary. And Raheem Mostert is gone for the year as well. So the Niners continuously stay getting injured. But for this matchup, I do think it'll be very close. And they actually had a fun matchup last year, if you guys remember. It was on prime time, but it was like Nick Mullins, I think, versus Carson Wentz. I think the Eagles actually ended up winning that game. But I could see the Eagles winning again, but I just think the Niners, because the Eagles have a good O-line, but the Niners front is back. It does look pretty good. I'm going to go Niners, but in like a really tight game.
Okay. So here's where I stand on this, right? So I really think that everybody's now like getting too carried away with the Eagles playing against the Falcons the way they did, because I'd never thought the Falcons were that good to begin with. I think everybody had higher expectations of the Falcons than they should have. So I'm not totally impressed with the Eagles doing what they did to that horrible defense. That being said, obviously the 49ers are the better roster and everything. Verrett is out, correct? It's hurt.
Torn ACL.
Not playing. Yep. Done for the season. Obviously, Raheem Mostert done for the season. I don't know what's happening with Ayuk. I don't know why. I and Trey Sermon too. I have a strong feeling when they went to Detroit that Ayuk and Trey Sermon like went out and pissed off Shanahan, like partying or something, like night before game day, or had to be something in house that Shanahan didn't like, so he just benched them, like teach like the young kids a lesson kind of thing. That's my personal opinion. I have no facts to base this off of, but I think Ayuk's going to get implemented back into the offense as the games get on, because you're not going to be playing the Detroit Lions every week. I think Shanahan's mindset was like, okay, I don't need Sermon or Ayuk to win this game. But when you start, playing better teams, especially teams in your division, best believe that they're both going to be playing. Mm-hmm. Especially now that Mostert's down, it's going to be a committee, I think, of Mitchell, Sermon, and then even Hasty thrown in there for like passing downs, I think. This is a tough game. Going into at first glance, I was like, okay, I'm picking 49ers for this game. But I think to Kyle Shanahan's defenses, and I think even with Bosa on and all these guys, they have always struggled against scrambling quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts, I understand, against the Falcons defense looked good. And this is not the Falcons defense, is a lot better. And they're at home. Devonta Smith looked great.
Yep.
This is a tough one for me. Both teams 1-0. Should I ride the high on the Eagles, who were stayed hot throughout the game, or the 49ers who started hot and started, let their foot off the gas? I want to see it. To me, it's going to be, I could easily be wrong. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of personnel and Shanahan with his young guys. I think I'm going to go with the Eagles for now. I might change it Sunday morning, but I don't like the benching of your good players. Again, we don't know why or what happened. I don't like it. I don't like morale that sets. I don't like that your team was like, okay, we're playing the Detroit Lions. We don't have to try anymore in the second half. And then they made it a close game, closer than it should have been. And I'm just going to say that the Eagles have more confidence right now. I'm going to go with the more confident team at home with the scrambling quarterback that the 49ers have always struggled to play.
We'll see. This will be an interesting game because the Eagles start off, like it'll just be interesting. It could happen though, for sure. Ayuk should be playing. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently he's in the doghouse, and we've seen what happens to other 49er receivers who've been in Shanahan's doghouse. Dante Pettis, like there's been a few others, and they've never gotten out. So that's something to keep an eye on. I don't understand why. Ayuk, in my opinion, is their best wide receiver. I know Debo had a great week one, and I like Debo a lot, but we've seen what Ayuk did last year with Beathard and Mullins. It just doesn't matter. Like he's just talented, and you can use him in you can use him a lot of.
That's what I'm saying. He had to do something to piss off Shanahan off the field.
But yeah, I don't really understand it. I mean, Sermon, I get he's a rookie. Like I know people overrate rookies all the time. I know Mitchell ended up being like a 6th-round pick and going for 100 yards. The Niner systems, they're just going to rotate anyway with Mostert out. So I think that'll be a nightmare if you have any of them. Like because I know Mitchell just had a great week. This week it'll be Hasty starting. That's just what they do. So I'm serious. Like it's what they do. But the Niners are still a good team. I think it might be almost a good thing that they kind of let their foot off the gas. I think they'll kind of correct some of those things. And some of it was just a little bit of luck too. I mean, the Lions recovered an onside kick. I don't know if they recovered the second one, but and then Debo fumbled. So, but still, this is an interesting game, and it was a good matchup last year. But this year, with people are healthy so far, so should be a better one. Let's go on another interesting team. Cincinnati Bengals 1-0 against the Bears. The Andy Dalton revenge game? Question mark. Um, the Bengals did well. I mean, we thought it was gonna be a close game. I picked the Vikings. I said this in last week's episode. Even though I picked the Vikings, I didn't see a path for the Vikings making the playoffs. And losing to the Bengals is not going to change your cause. Like, this Vikings team is very talented, and unfortunately, they're only going to win like six to eight games. But let's
Kirk Cousins last year probably.
Yeah, I mean,
in a Vikings uniform.
He just got extended, so I don't know how that's going to work.
They have to move on. I think they're already ready. Ever since this anti-vax thing that he's been doing, and with the media and like, oh, I'm going to do my best to prepare and be safe. And I don't think front office likes that, especially your star quarterback not being vaccinated and taking a stand not being vaccinated, and then not executing against a horrible Bengals defense. Dalvin Cook did not look great, even though Adam Thielen had a good game. Like, there's no reason why they should have lost to that Bengals team. Mm-hmm. Especially in overtime. It was just an ugly game, but they'll bounce back. They'll play better than they played week one, but yeah, that was bad signs. And, good for Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Showing resilience coming back.
Ja'Marr Chase.
The post-game conference was good. Yeah. With Ja'Marr Chase walking off the podium and Joe Burrow coming back down. He was like, yeah, I thought he was dropping everything.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were criticizing Chase all preseason, all training camp. But it didn't affect him week one. I mean, the Bengals came out, they played well. Joe Mixon had like almost 30 carries. He had a ton of work.
Breakout year.
Yeah, well, he's honestly, besides last year, he's been really productive in fantasy and just in general. But for this game, it's in Chicago. I wish Fields was playing. Like, Dalton wasn't terrible on Sunday night, but like there's a lot of like, it's just not really flashy. Like, Dave Montgomery looked really, really good. Like, finally, like, I love.
He had fresh legs.
Yeah, I like Montgomery coming out, but he just hasn't really shown it. I mean, last year he ended really well, but I just thought that was against like
bad defenses.
But the Rams have a good defense, and Montgomery looked really, really good. And it's in Chicago. This is really a 50-50 game for me. Like, I can't see the Bears front overwhelming the Bengals offensive line. Like, I can't see Mixon. I think Mixon went for like 150 yards against the Vikings. I can't see that happening again. But the Bears secondary is not good. Like, it's not. So like,
Bengals have receivers.
Yeah. This is gonna get open. Ja'Marr Chase. Like, there's gonna be opportunities for them. Like, this is a game where it's gonna be won in the trenches, in my opinion. That's how the NFL goes. No matter who you have at wide receiver. I can't see the Bengals winning it, but I'm actually going to go Chicago at home. I think Dalton pulls it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I could see Joe Burrow winning the game too again in the same kind of fashion that he beat the Vikings in.
Yeah.
The only difference for me is that, again, I'm not a huge fan of this Bengals defense. I think the Bears could do what the Vikings should have done, which is pound the rock. I think David Montgomery's going to have a great week. And there's no way that Allen Robinson's that quiet. There's nobody on the Bengals that's of Jalen Ramsey's caliber. And I just think that Allen Robinson has a good week that he should have had, or, again, understandable, but we're going to have a usual Allen Robinson week. He's probably going to have 100 yards, almost double-digit catches. So, big week for Montgomery and Allen Robinson. I like the Chicago Bears, just front seven as a whole better.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Chicago.
I will say, though, to the Bengals, even though I didn't give them much love in the offseason in terms of their defense, I do think granted, they still won, but I thought they did pretty well in week one. Like, I know the stat line was kind of misleading. Like, Dalvin Cook, they held him in check mostly for most of the game. And Justin Jefferson really didn't go off. Like, maybe that's just the Vikings playing bad, but I think it's worth seeing, like, the Bengals defense might be a little bit better than people expected.
No, yeah, that's fine. I was one of the few people who loved their draft class as a whole, but I'm just saying, like, it's still a bottom half of the league defense. And, if David Montgomery looked good against the Rams, he should look great against the Bengals.
And before we move on, the Bengals offensive line really played well, like the
Yeah.
pass protection especially, which is like the question. That was a question all offseason. So that was a good start. But I think the Bears have a pretty good front, so we'll see how it does this week. Let's move on to surprising 1-0 team, the Texans at Browns. The Browns and Chiefs also had a great game last week. The Browns were kind of winning very early. The run game was getting going, and then Mahomes kind of went off with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. I do think we kind of said it last week. The Browns. Oh, so we actually forgot to mention our Super Bowl teams last week. I think we mentioned one of them, but so I picked Browns and Packers. So I was a little bit off to a bad start with the Packers, but let's focus on the Browns right now. The Browns showed me a lot in that game. It was only week 1 of the season. Like they had a lot of rookies playing, like playing well too, like Schwartz, JOK. Like they had a lot of players, and even Newsome, like the corner. So I do think the Browns are a team that, like I said, gets better in December and January when they can actually run the football in the cold. They can still run it now, but it's just easier on. It's harder on defense to stop the run when it's cold outside and you got a good offensive line. But yeah, I'm not worried about the Browns. They held in there with the Chiefs. And as much as I was happy for the Texans basically blowing out the Jaguars, Texans are still not going to win that many games. I do think they'll be competitive in quite a few games this year. But in this particular matchup, I just see the Browns kind of like running away with it by 10 or more points.
Yeah, I agree with you. So again, I apologize to Houston from now because I had, the new upcoming team, the youth with Jacksonville winning.
And last week too. I wanted to pick him because I knew Urban Meyer was in over his head. I just thought like the talent for Jacksonville, but
yeah,
Jacksonville have a lot of problems besides coaching. If you're being real, that defense is still terrible.
yeah. So obviously the
Yeah.
veterans came out victorious.
Yeah.
Shows you how far experience goes in this league. But again, the Browns, yet another game that they could have beaten the Chiefs, but let go of it last second.
Yep.
Really let go of the game. But let's not be fooled. That's probably going to be the hardest game they're going to play all year, the Browns. Their schedule gets a lot easier for the rest of the year now because we see the Ravens now are not the Ravens of old just because of injuries and whatnot, and just a worse offensive line. Pittsburgh is still going to be Pittsburgh, but don't be fooled. The Browns could go on a serious winning streak starting from this game in week 2. So I'm going to be picking the Browns a lot from now on. So, and like you said, come winter time, cold weather, it's going to be even more deadly with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
I want to see that rematch in January.
I think we're going to see it. I don't think there's another team in the AFC that's better than the Browns besides the Chiefs.
I actually think, like we said, I think the Browns have the better roster still. That doesn't mean anything when you have Mahomes and
yeah.
But I do think the Browns can beat the Chiefs. So
it's definitely possible because the past 2 times they almost did. It's just about executing in the fourth.
I think you can make a case the Browns are like a top 2 team in the whole NFL. Honestly, just I guess Baker.
You could because roster wise they're there.
Yeah, even coaching, like Stefanski's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
Let's go on to another fun matchup. I would say disappointing for the home team here. Rams at Colts. We did pick Seattle to win last week, but they basically I don't want to say blow them out because it was only 28 to like 12, but Seattle beat them pretty bad.
They just dominated the football.
Yeah.
Seattle, like you could tell, like who had the momentum throughout the whole game.
Yeah, Colts secondary continues to be an issue. This has been going on for years. I don't think they win this game either. I think Matt Stafford looked very good in his debut. Obviously, it was against the Bears, but the Bears aren't the easiest opponent. I understand the secondary has a lot of questions, but I think you've already seen after 1 week what Stafford can do with his offense. Like he just looks comfortable. The Rams have a ton of options. Like Cooper Kupp he went off. Robert Woods. Like the Rams are just a very good football team, and the Colts have a good team. Like they weren't terrible against the Seahawks. Like they'll still be able to run the ball. It looks like because if the Bears are able to run the ball, the Colts should be able to run the ball against the Rams. But with that being said, it's really about Carson Wentz still. I just don't really have confidence. And Zach Pascal played really well, but Pittman was like invisible. The Colts just don't really have a lot of weapons, if we're being honest, outside of the offensive line and run game, which is fine. I do think this game will be actually closer than Seahawks and Colts for some reason. I just have that feeling, but I'm still going to go with Stafford and the Rams here.
Yeah, Stafford and the Rams are just the better team. It's the better quarterback, better coach combo. It's everything about the Rams. Even I get it, like it was against Chicago, but regardless of who they play, I think they still would have looked as impressive.
Yep,
and that offense was clicking. pushing the ball downfield, first down after first down. Stafford, is still Matthew Stafford. He was never bad. He just played for a bad organization. And a little disappointed with the Rams defense, honestly. The more bend don't break kind of thing. But I'm not worried about Carson Wentz and these Indianapolis receivers carving up Jalen Ramsey in the secondary. I'm just not worried.
Yeah. In the same boat. The way the Colts could win this game is if they just hold the ball and kind of run over the Rams, which based on
I just don't see happening.
It's possible they can run the ball pretty well though. Like I do for some reason I have a feeling this game will be closer than people think.
No, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I don't think it's gonna be like. I just don't think they're gonna dominate time possession. I just don't see it happening.
To me, there's a path for that to happen. But I said this in the offseason, and I'll say it again. I don't think the Colts get beaten that bad 2 days ago or 3 days ago if Philip Rivers is the quarterback. I got no faith in Carson Wentz. Honestly, he's not very good. Like, just what it is. I don't think they'll win games this year. I just don't think they're that. I think they're actually worse than they were last year, or at least equivalent. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries too. And we mentioned the division, what's worse in football. It's the AFC South. I don't think it's very close, honestly, at this point. Obviously, the teams, it's only 1 week, but just based on Jacksonville and a few of these other teams resting and wins record, I just can't see how it's not the South. The winner of this division might end up winning. They might go 9-8, honestly, or 10-7. I don't think there's no 11.
Yeah, because the only chance of this division was Tennessee dominating it, but we saw last week. Granted, maybe we were too low on Arizona, but I think it was Arizona playing great, Kyler Murray being great, and just Tannehill underperforming, Vrabel underperforming as a coach, Derrick Henry underperforming. I know. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah, I mean, 5 sacks or something, which is crazy.
I
mean, granted, he's coming off a torn ACL, so I know it's the first game, but hopefully over time
that's a wake up call, right?
And let's give some respect to Chandler Jones. The I think he's almost at 100 career sacks. He's about to get it at this pace. He'll get it this week if he gets another 5 sacks. But crazy performance. All right, let's move on though. Bills to Dolphins. Maybe one of the kind of surprising games of the week was the Bills losing by 10 to Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh a lot this year. I still thought they were going to win 8 or 9 games, but that was a big shock going into Buffalo and beating the Bills, especially after last year's game. We'll get to the Steelers when we get to them. The Bills, they went up against a really good pass rush. I think that's all it was. And they just lost. It is what it is. The Josh Allen throughout his whole career, this is actually one of his best games. Even when he was a rookie, second year, he just plays really well. It's like Daniel Jones against Washington. He just plays well against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins have a good defense, they do. I do think they got lucky to beat the Patriots.
It was just that Damian Harris fumble that really won them the game.
I can already say this now. I think Mac Jones is already a better quarterback than Tua, in my opinion, just from watching the game and from last year.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the Dolphins still have talent. There's a reason why they won. But I do my stance doesn't change on the Dolphins. I didn't see them making the playoffs before week 1, and just because I know they won, which is great. That's a big division win to go into Foxborough and win. But for this matchup, I think the Bills get back on track. And I actually think they blow them out. I think it's one of the blowout week. So
I don't know if it's going to be. It definitely could be a blowout. It's just a matter of, is this offense going to be stagnant? What's going on with the running game?
There is no running.
Zach Moss.
We know that.
Zach Moss, healthy scratch, doesn't play. Well, what was that? Because I thought Zach Moss. Granted, he's younger than everybody there, but why was he not playing over Matt Breida or Devin Singletary? I thought going into the season he'd be the starter.
So did I. But
so what was the reasoning for? Because I haven't found it. I've tried looking. I haven't found the reason for benching him.
Anything, but that's never a good thing when you're on the inactive list. That tells me you're almost being cut or traded. So now, granted, if something happens, we'll see. But I think Singletary probably won the job. But the Bills this year are going to be the same team as last year, or at least the same identity. They're just not going to run the ball very much. It's going to be all on Josh Allen in the passing game. But I do think they bounce back this week, the Bills. But how funny or how weird would it be if the Dolphins ended up being 2-0?
I think we have to look at it differently then. We have to look at it as how the Saints were a few years ago, right? Without Drew Brees, or even it was the first time he got hurt from that Aaron Donald thumb injury. and we had Teddy Bridgewater, and back when Bridgewater was still saying we won those 5 games. It was the fact that our defense was, kick ass.
Yeah.
We had an amazing defense, amazing coaching staff on both sides of the ball, and head coach, everything. We had a quarterback who was a conservative game manager quarterback, and then we had a few pieces around him to just be able to move the chains sometimes and get a lot of field goals. And I think that's what this Dolphins team is going to be throughout the season. I think it's going to be a lot of game management on offense. I don't think they're ever going to have a week where they hit 30 points. Maybe if Will Fuller comes back and stays healthy, maybe.
Waddle look very good. That's encouraging.
Waddle look good, but I think this is a team that's going to be scoring anywhere from like 10 to like 25 points every week. And I think 25 is being generous.
Yeah, I mean the Dolphins. That would be if they. Well, my concern level would rise then if the Bills go on too, in terms of being.
But that's what I'm saying. So if the Dolphins win, we have to start looking at them at like that, whatever it was, 2019 Saints team.
I wouldn't even go that far yet. I want to see how they win first, because if the Bills are just regressing, then we just overrated the Bills. That's what happened, and the Dolphins are just I don't know. The Dolphins for me are still this. I still think they win 8 or 9 games. I don't think that changes. But if they go 2-0, they got a chance to prove me wrong. So we'll see.
We'll see. I'm going Bills though for now.
Yeah, me too.
Not give it up yet.
I think most people are picking the Bills. I was like
the
Steelers have an insane. The Dolphins have a great secondary. The front's good, but it's not Pittsburgh for me. I told you, like, they have a top 3 defensive line in football, and with Melvin Ingram playing the way he does, it might even be number 1. Like they were that good. Cam Hayward had like 9 pressures. It was insane. Another matchup: 2-0-1 teams, Patriots at Jets. 2 rookie quarterbacks. It's in MetLife, but really, I don't think it matters much. I mean, at least we're not going to Foxborough. Belichick, rookie quarterbacks. Herbert, you guys have seen what Herbert looked like last year, right? And you've seen what happened in the Patriots game. He looked like he didn't belong in the NFL. So hopefully, that doesn't happen to Zach. I don't want to see seeing ghost game or anything like that. Jets offensive line has to do better. I mean, speaking of last week's game, there was a couple of plays in the first half where it was like it could have been game changers, like the Elijah Moore, the drop. But with that being said, the Panthers defensive line just crushed our offensive line. Becton's obviously injured, so Becton's not going to be playing this week. The Jets have to protect Zach. I mean, it was I liked what I seen in the second half from Zach Wilson, but like, guy got sacked 6 times. And granted, I will say, like, 2 of them were on him. Like, I'm not going to just completely, like, you had to be reasonable. He's a rookie quarterback. He held the ball, tried making a play. But there was a stat that came out like 2 days ago that he was pressured 50% of his dropbacks. That's like an insane number. And if you watch the game, you can clearly tell that we were overwhelmed, missing like communication issues all over the place. We let Brian Burns run free, like their most important, like their best edge. Like how does that happen? Like if you're gonna block anybody, you got to block Burns. And we just didn't protect. We didn't pick up any stunts, which is so frustrating because these were the same problems. The offense looked like a Gase offense in the first half. Like this the same issues. The offensive line was terrible. But the Jets are dealing with a lot of injuries already. I think the Jets are the most injured team again, and we're entering week 2, and the Jets have. I'm not kidding. The Jets are down to their 5th string linebacker, Peter, and 5th string safety, and we're in week 2 of the NFL season.
You're bringing in Avery Williamson again.
I don't.
For visits.
I like Avery, but like at this point of his career, he's not really gonna, thread the needle. The Pats, in my opinion, really should be 1-0. They are dealing with a rookie quarterback as well. Mac Jones looked pretty good. I don't think it looks. The occasion doesn't look too big for Mac Jones. Like he takes what the defense gives him. So I'm gonna go Patriots here. It'd be nice if the Jets could win this game. Like that'd be great if they could beat a Belichick team. This would be one of those games where like the Patriots are good, but they're not like unbeatable. Like this isn't like a Tom Brady Patriot team. They still got a solid defense, but like you are playing against a rookie quarterback. So I would like to keep this game within 1 score and then see what happens. But like if you're betting this game, I'd most likely bet the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm slamming the Patriots on this. I'm sorry, Ryan. Somehow at certain points last week.
Picking lead, I'm picking the Jets. Just let everyone know. So if you're watching this, like, don't think that I changed. Like I'm picking the Jets every week of the season. So
my pick of I don't know. It's going to be rough for Zach Wilson. He had a tough week last week. Granted, I went into the season. I loved Carolina's defense. I thought it was an underrated defense. You know that. I thought every part of Carolina was underrated. So I don't think it was a fluke just playing against Zach Wilson and all that. I think they're still going to be good throughout the year. But oh man, that offensive line, especially after Becton went down, looked
It was
even worse.
yeah.
It looked just as worse as last year, which is concerning. Okay. Besides Corey Davis, you need more out of the wide receiving room. Elijah Moore needs to get open faster. He needs to stop dropping the ball.
Be nice if they put Denzel Mims in the field or on the field.
Denzel Mims, like, look, if he ends up being a bust of a pick, he's a bust of a pick, but you need to send him out there and just see, right? At this point, it's not like you have a better option that you need to start over. Like, just go with the potential and just see what could happen out of it. Don't waste a second round pick like that, especially one that everybody was high on.
Game that Crowder and Cole didn't play. Like
yeah,
went too many 12 personnel. We don't have the actual personnel to play that because our tight ends stink. You know, I like Wesco, but like why are we running the ball every first down? I understand we want to establish the run. That's good, but Carolina had 7 guys in the box every play. So like take a and the one I think it would have been a game changer if Elijah Moore catches that pass in the first half. That was like some throw. But
no, yeah. Look, everybody's getting on Zach Wilson because he started the game like throwing 2 for 15 and he just didn't look good, like completion percentage wise. But if you're paying attention, the kid had less than 3 seconds to throw the ball. Nobody was open. Corey Davis was the only person who was getting open at some points of the game. Everybody was dropping passes. It wasn't just, it was, Tyler Croft was dropping passes himself too. Like people were just dropping passes. And Zach Wilson, even though he was running for his life, it reminded me of the Super Bowl Mahomes, the way he was running every play. And he was making some beautiful on target, off balance throws. Like no other quarterback besides like the Aaron Rodgers or like that type of quarterback could be making those kind of accurate throws under pressure like that. So it's scary to see what the Jets could do with Zach Wilson, good receivers, good offensive line. But the fact of the matter is we don't have that. And you have the Patriots coming to town. And I have a feeling that Mac Jones is going to carve up this defense. Damian Harris wants, revenge game to make up for his fumble. I think the Patriots are going to have a really good afternoon against the Jets in MetLife. Because I'm not a fan of what the Jets defense is looking like. I'm not a fan of what the offense is looking like. The running game was non-existent. I don't think it's going to be any better against the Patriots. So I think it's going to be a really ugly afternoon for the Jets. My number one thing is I saw Zach Wilson get hammered over and over again, thrown to the ground, beat down, slow to get up. So he hit his head really hard at one play.
Yeah, like I thought he was cussed, honestly.
Yeah, you're not making the playoffs, I don't think, if you're the Jets anyway this season.
No.
So please just get out of this game with Zach Wilson alive. Just like emphasize not getting him hit. And then whatever happens, I don't care what the scoreboard looks like, just make sure he doesn't get hit. That would be my game plan if I'm Saleh. Don't hit my quarterback.
If the offense line continues like that, he's not making it to the bye week. And I don't know what's going on with the Jets team. Like this is, and we have a new coaching training staff too. Like we're down so many. We're entering week 2 of the season, and we're already again the most injured team by far. Like it's insane. Like not that the Jets are making
Baltimore.
No, we're more injured than Baltimore. Baltimore have a lot of injuries. Baltimore, like people are gonna say because Baltimore are a playoff team, and I get it. Like they're gonna pay attention more. The Jets are down to like the Jets have already lost 4 linebackers, 4 safeties, like 2 edge rushers. Becton's now gone for like Becton is saying 4 to 6 weeks, probably gonna be longer. So like the Jets and even in money and Joyner's gone too. Like he comes back after missing like 3 weeks. But it is what it is. Like it doesn't really, like this year's really all about Zach Wilson anyway. Like this is year 1 for us with the new coach and everything. For me, like, and I do agree with you. I do think Mac Jones has a pretty good day because just because Sam Darnold was missing like some crucial like throws down the field. Obviously, he was able to check it down. Mac Jones will be able to do that. And I think Mac Jones will be just honestly better than Sam Darnold was. So I'm going Patriots. I do want to keep this game close, so I don't want to be like completely like I'm not talking like I don't want a 45-3 type of game. Like that's all I'll say. I keep it within hopefully a score within 2 scores and just kind of and keep Zach Wilson upright. And one thing I am looking forward to seeing, and it's not really wins and losses. It's like how Zach Wilson does in the division. This is something Sam Darnold sucked at, like basically against everyone he played in the division. So that's just interesting to watch throughout the whole 6 games they're going to play, and especially the Pats game. But let's move on. We always take a while with the Jets anyway. Raiders at Steelers, 2-1-0 teams. A lot of these are two teams no one really picked to win week 1, or very few people did. Pretty impressive performances from both teams. Pittsburgh, that was a big shock in my opinion. Like I kind of seen a way the Raiders could have won with all the Ravens injuries and just the way the Raiders kind of play early in the year at home. Pittsburgh going up to Buffalo was super impressive and holding that Bills offense to 13 points. I'm going to go Pittsburgh in this game. I do think the Raiders will probably end up making it closer than people think or want, because the Steelers' offensive line is still not good. Like that was a big concern entering the year. It didn't really calm anyone's nerves in Buffalo. Najee Harris did essentially nothing. Not that it was his fault with that offensive line, but that's going to be a season-long, I think, issue. Hopefully, though, with continuity, the offensive line does get better. But we're still early on in the year. We've seen what the Raiders pass rush did to the Ravens, and the Ravens offense line is not as good as it was, but it's still better than the Steelers, in my opinion, their line. But I think the Steelers defense is going to be overwhelming for the Raiders offense. I still think Darren Waller will have a pretty decent game, but I can't see him getting over 150 or whatever he got against the Ravens. And Derek Carr played. I thought he played. I thought it was one of his best games of his career. I just don't see that happening again against the Steelers. So I'm gonna go Pittsburgh. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I already touched on a little bit. The stats looked way better than how Derek Carr actually played because he was inaccurate with the football all night, in my opinion. And I don't think that I think the Steelers are just going to play better all around, offensively and defensively, than the Ravens did. I think on defense they're going to be just as bad, just as good in terms of pressuring Derek Carr, whatever. And Derek Carr just not going to be able to get away with throwing behind his receivers. It's going to get picked off. It just will against the Steelers defense. And on offense, I think they'll play better than the Ravens did. I don't think you're going to have as many turnovers giving the ball away like that. Najee Harris, I think, will be better. I don't think it's going to be, just a 50-yard performance like it was last week. And I think the receivers, again, are going to be running wild because the strong point of the Raiders on Monday night was their defensive line. Their secondary, let's not get confused, was not great. It was just that Lamar Jackson had no time to throw. Even with the bad offensive line in Pittsburgh, I still think Ben Roethlisberger, he's one of his strong suits has always been getting the ball out of his hands fast. Yeah. And I just think Claypool, Juju, and Deontay Johnson are going to run wild against Las Vegas, especially at home. So I'm going Steelers.
All right, let's go to the place I was at last week, Saints at Carolina. Saints obviously coming off. I'll start first. You'll take most of this segment. Saints coming off a huge win. Jameis Winston, my guy. I've loved him forever, so I'm glad to see him off to a good start. Saints just overwhelmed the Packers, and they just blew them out. That's all it was. Carolina took care of business. The front looked good against the Jets, obviously. McCaffrey had like 180 yards, and it seems like that's what he gets every time he plays, which is crazy. And the Saints are a little banged up. I've seen Davenport's going to be missing some time. You lost your center. So the Saints are.
Marshawn Lattimore's out for a few weeks. Thumb surgery.
Sucks. And Carolina do play well against the Saints. They do. Like with Kyle Allen, it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. I'm still going Saints. I think this game would have been a blowout, but with the injuries, I do think it'll be a little bit closer, especially Lattimore can't play. They said he's week to week, right? So he's probably going to miss this week.
He's going to miss, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. I think you're better off being safe.
Yeah. I mean,
so I think
good news is
3 weeks.
Darnold's really just going to check it down. Like, I know he'll take some shots, but like he'll probably miss on like 4 of them. So I'm going to go Saints in this game. I do think it'll be a little bit closer than it should be. It's at home in Carolina. It's week 2. They're coming off. They're both 1-0. Could I see Carolina winning this game? The only chance is if McCaffrey just does what he did against the Jets, which I think the Saints will have a little bit better of a game plan, or at least they'll limit him the best they can. I don't think he's going to go for. I think he went for 189 yards or something at the Jets. I don't see the best way to beat the Panthers, honestly, is just stop not even the run game, McCaffrey. Just don't let him go wild in the pass game, because then you make Darnold go to like your second or third read, which he's not capable of on a consistency basis. So I'm going Saints.
All right, so let's get the picks out of the way. I'm so sorry for ever doubting my team because I had the Packers winning last week. And the one thing, let me get the negative out of the way because I don't want to be, Debbie Downer. The Saints do this every year where we demolish a playoff caliber team in the regular season, like absolutely blow them out, and then we play the same team in the playoffs and we end up losing and getting eliminated. Happens every year, whether it's Tampa Bay, whether it's Seattle, like it just happens every year.
You're losing to the Packers.
Um,
Here's the preview, right? In the playoffs.
Yeah, so I'm really already, my negative mind. That's where it went. I'm like, oh, now we're gonna play Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, and he's gonna eliminate us.
Pissed off.
But yeah, but look, now that the negatives out of the way, again, injuries riddled. Yes, we have a few injuries. Good thing my team's deep. I'm not. Davenport played great when he was in, but realistically, Davenport's been hurt every year of his career, and we've always played well without him. So I'm really not like, oh my God, we've lost Davenport. Lattimore hurts, but again, it's not the first time he's going to miss time either. And I'm surprisingly happy with our depth at corner. Surprisingly, Paulson Adebo for a rookie first game, guarding people like Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, MVS, played phenomenal. I'm confident with him. Just to fill in just a little bit, I think it's going to be a lot of zone over the next few weeks. So we'll see. And lucky for us, I'm not really worried about Sam Darnold reading a defense and different blitz packages and ripping apart our zone. I'm just not worried about it. McCaffrey has always been a worry, yes, because McCaffrey's going to find the end zone twice somehow in this game. It's going to happen. It's just about containing him. That's how we've beaten him the past few years. Just contain McCaffrey. Don't let him, he's probably going to get close to 100 yards. Just don't let him get 100 plus. You're probably going to win. I think Robbie finds the end zone this week with no Lattimore, because even though Marcus Williams looks great, he's going to burn one of our corners eventually. DJ Moore, I know he's great, but we always play well against DJ Moore. Granted, we always have Lattimore there, but we just generally game plan well against him. Not worried about the tight end room yet. No, Dan Arnold revenge games or any of that. I don't see any of that happening.
Ian Thomas goes for like 300 yards this weekend.
Yeah, the Panthers' offensive line looked horrible, so I'm actually confident in Cam Jordan looked great in Green Bay. I want to see our rookie Peyton Turner get out there. I'm ready to beat up on this offensive line. I'm ready to pressure Sam Darnold, which we've seen could throw him off his game. Unfortunately, it's not in New Orleans. I'd feel a lot better if it was. It's in Carolina. So again, he gets to stay. The Panthers team, that's a bonus to them. They stay home. They don't have to do any flights or anything like that. But let's talk about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, the ultimate grown-up. What a change in a man. Forget about on the field. Let's just talk about off the field and how he handles himself, right? This guy is a leader. He's like somebody I'm like, you see him in any kind of conference, I'm like, that's my quarterback. You take pride in saying his ownership, his leadership. I love Jameis Winston now. Okay. Did a lot of growing up behind Drew Brees. He learned a lot. My favorite play in the Green Bay game, you would think, oh, maybe it's one of the 5 touchdown passes. It's not one of the 5 touchdown passes. It was, I forget if it was second or third down. And the game design, we were at midfield. And the game plan, the play design was, we're going to have 7 blockers, and we're just going to have 3 wide receivers run routes. Everybody else is blocking. The running back's going to block, offensive line's going to block, and our tight end's going to block. And we had 10 seconds in the pocket. The pass rush wasn't getting to us. We were blocking 7. Everybody was doing a good job. And Winston was just standing there waiting for somebody to get open. Because they did a drop back coverage, the Packers, the 3 wide receivers didn't get open. Old Jameis Winston, not just in Tampa Bay, even last year, if he went in for a play in New Orleans, would have tried to wait, as long as he could, because he was there for 10 seconds. He could have waited as long as he wanted to, could have waited longer, and just wait for somebody to get open and try to dart it in. He took his 10 seconds, realized nothing was coming out of it, and just threw it away. Jameis Winston would have never done that in prior years. So he's learning a lot in this new offense. He's learning that he doesn't need to be the hero every play, that he has guys around him. Gives it to Kamara. Tony Jones Jr., undrafted rookie, coming in, backing up, looks phenomenal. Love his second year. Love how he hits holes and reads holes. Confident with him as a second back. I like how we're giving Kamara more carries for the first time in his career. He's always gotten around 25 touches, right? But this time, he's still getting the same amount of touches, 25 to 30 touches, but it's not all receptions. He ran the ball. He had 20 carries against Green Bay, and I love it when he gets carries, right? I love how we looked as a team, especially adversity with what's going on in New Orleans, Louisiana, with the Hurricanes, going to Jacksonville, playing against Aaron Rodgers and shutting him out. So if we could do that to Aaron Rodgers, even with a few injuries, I'm confident we can do it against Sam Darnold. I don't think we're going to win the division. I think we're going to make a wild card. and I think we could upset a team in the playoffs as well. So I'm going Saints. I'm happy with where we're at.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Saints fans travel pretty well because Carolina Panthers don't really have much of a home fan base. Like a lot of people are talking down there. Like there are people who moved down to Carolina. Charlotte's a really nice city though, so I will say that. And if the Panthers do win, they actually play Sweet Caroline. But I thought I laughed at it like walking out of the stadium because like we should do that as in MetLife if the Jets or Giants win, we should be playing like some New York song like Empire State of Mind.
Frank Sinatra or something.
Yeah, just like the
New York.
Yeah, we walk out. So, but I found that ironic, pretty funny. All right, so let's move on. This might be the easiest game of the week to pick. Denver at Jacksonville.
Yeah. Again, let's not. Jacksonville's getting the new Houston treatment where we were not even going to pay mind. Trevor Lawrence didn't look horrible. He looked like a rookie quarterback playing his NFL debut.
Yeah, made some really nice throws, but obviously,
yeah. I'm not taking anything away from him. He looked like a rookie quarterback playing his first NFL game. That's what it is. Great potential. He's going to be a good quarterback in this league, but he's going to be running for his life against Denver, and he's going to throw an interception or two.
Yeah, maybe 3 again, but because they're going to be down by so many points. Teddy Bridgewater looked very good against the Giants. Denver's like pass rush is back. I know Von Miller had a great game. Denver's defense is going to be really good. I know they lost Darby, but they still going to be a very good secondary. Unfortunately, what happened with Judy, like I think he was going to have a breakout year. Like we started to see it. He was starting to really pick it up, but he'll be back. It's just obviously not for this game. He's not really needed in this game anyway. So Denver, I do think they're going to at least win somewhere between 7 and 10 games. Could be in the playoff picture if Bridgewater continues like this. Yeah, we don't spend too much in this time, but I think it has to be noted. Jacksonville's the worst coached team in the league, or at least I think the Falcons will get better than that. It's gonna be a very long year for Jacksonville. I thought they had the ability to win 5 to 6 games on talent alone. I'm
based off of last week. They played honestly like a bottom 3 team in the league, and they looked horrible. No running game.
Yeah, I think there's a chance
against a bad defense.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance they go like 1-16 or 2-14 or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I don't even want to waste time talking about Jacksonville. They're not going to win a lot of games this year. It's that simple. We're already getting rumors that Urban Meyer already wants out. Yeah. Not happy with his decision to come, and that locker room's a mess.
That was a disaster hire from the beginning.
Yeah.
They have to be careful because, like, if this continues with Trevor, I'm talking about past this season, it's going to be a nightmare, and that's where they're heading right now.
Real quick on Denver before we move on, did you see that snippet on the sideline with Teddy Bridgewater and Von Miller?
Yeah, I did.
Von Miller was hyping. I was like, "Hey, we haven't had that in a long time. We need those pep talks. It goes a long way. You're a great leader." Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, "Oh, Drew Lock, no."
And I was going to send it to you. I laughed. I was thinking in my head, like, their quarterbacks they had since Manning, and it's been bad in Denver. So I do think he's probably right in that regard, but I don't think you're going to see that Teddy every week. But Denver's super talented, so I am excited to see them play almost like every week. But all right, let's move on now to the 4:00 games. Vikings at Cardinals.
Okay. Before we do that, we could do that first. I just wanted to get the Falcons Buccaneers out of the way.
All right. Well, we're all picking Tampa. Hopefully, the Falcons look better than that. I mean, they play.
The Falcons are. That's the thing, though. They're not going to look better than that.
I don't know.
I get they have Arthur Smith, but Matt Ryan's on his way out as a QB. I've been seeing it for years now. Don't be fooled by the high yardage games when he just chucks it up to Calvin Ridley and Julio back. When Julio's still there. Mike Davis, you can give him as many carries as he wants. He's not a star running back to be doing that. Their offensive line is still ass. Their defensive line creates no pressure. Their corners are bottom 3 in the league. And I love Richie Grant, but that's the only bright spot on this defense that I see right now.
Yo, did you see? You don't take PFF for like a Bible because, obviously you're not gonna be able to watch every single game. But apparently Jalen Mayfield had the worst grading ever as a pass blocker. Like he had they graded out of 100. He had a 1.3 for the Eagles game.
Out of 100?
Yeah, so it was lowest, and I don't know how long PFF's been around, but I think it's been since 2009 or 2007. He just recorded the lowest ever grade in a game.
That's the saddest thing too, that they invest high capital on their offensive line, and it's still bottom 5 of the league.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's going to have a field day. Tom Brady might throw for 500 yards.
I don't know. Listen, it's a new coaching staff. We're going to give the Falcons time. No one was expecting the Falcons to be a playoff team this year. Um, and this is a really tough matchup. This is a Super Bowl caliber team against the Falcons, who just got destroyed by Philly. But I would like to see a little bit more fight in the Falcons. Like I think they ended last year pretty like decently. I remember them playing well against the Chiefs and a few other teams. So, and this is a new coaching staff. We're not going to keep mentioning Dan Quinn, but like it just kind of reminded me of like a slow start.
Dude,
Like I don't know why the Falcons are always starting off so every season so slow.
Tom Brady's going to demoralize them. It's going to be a blowout.
But I mean, hopefully
Matt
they'll.
Ryan's going to have no time to throw.
Yeah, I know.
They're not. It's going to be the same thing as last week. They're not going to score a lot of points. If they struggle against it's not going to be close.
Well, at least
It won't.
this is a division game. They at least know like what's
And
coming.
it's in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm picking Tampa. I'm just saying we need to see a little bit more fight from the Falcons. It's a division.
Yeah.
They know Tampa should be a little bit better.
We're not going to get it. Yeah, I'm probably going to pick Tampa Bay as my survival football in this week.
I'll mention who I picked. I picked they're coming up later. But the next game, Vikings at Cardinals. Cardinals were a bit of a shocker to me, honestly. I think that was a great week one. Great start to the year. I couldn't have asked for a better start. Kyler Murray looked fantastic. Chandler Jones is back. He announced it by getting 5 sacks. That's what I love about the NFL. Like you've seen the mismatch for the game with Julio and AJ Brown. If your pass rush wins in the trenches, it doesn't matter who you have at receiver. It just doesn't matter. Like if the way to win in the NFL, besides obviously quarterback and head coach, is the trenches. It's proven every week. Like if you win the trenches, like 75 or somewhere between 75 and 90% of games are decided between the trenches. I'm gonna go Cardinals here again. The Vikings just didn't really inspire me. I do think this will be a fun game. Hopefully, like it should be. The Bengals and Vikings game was fun. Like it was 27-24, went to overtime. I definitely could see like Justin Jefferson getting back this week, bouncing back. Dalvin Cook having a pretty decent performance, but I just trust Arizona at home. Like I think their pass rush will get to Minnesota. JJ Watt, Chandler Jones will do enough, and it was encouraging. Isaiah Simmons, he made some big plays again this week, and he's starting now, got an interception. So the Cardinals are still young in pieces on the defense, but I think the pass rush is good enough where they can actually make a playoff push. They're in a tough division, so you got to take it week by week. But I'm gonna go Cardinals here.
Yeah, agree with everything you said. Cardinals, again, their concern was their secondary going into the year, which is why a lot of people picked the Texans and Titans because again, Julio Jones, AJ Brown are going to carve up your secondary, blah blah blah. Nobody taking into account that the Titans' offensive line just looks horrible.
I do think
as like a unit now.
Yeah.
No, they'll play better than. There's no way you can play worse.
Yeah. Well,
and again, Tannehill was just getting beat up all night. There's no point in running the ball when you're down. So it was just a bad game script for Derrick Henry. It was just bad overall for Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to bounce back better. And again, it's the same thing with the Vikings. I think if the Cardinals defensive line could play similar to what they did against Tennessee, which is definitely possible against the Vikings, I think you could see a similar outcome where Kyler Murray just goes crazy against his defense. And again, I'm not sold on Cliff Kingsbury, but I am sold on Kyler Murray. Yeah. Right, because it doesn't matter what the game plan is when he's running around in circles and nobody can catch him, whether he ends up running past the line of scrimmage for a first down or throwing it, 50 yards to DeAndre Hopkins or Christian Kirk. He's just special. Showed why he was the number 1 pick in the draft. I'm going Cardinals. So it's going to be a great division. I can't wait till the end of the season when it comes down to Seattle, Arizona, like all San Francisco. All 4 of those teams can make the playoffs.
And it's crazy because the West and AFC and NFC, they're all 1-0. So all 4 teams it's nuts.
It's gonna be fun.
The Cardinals, though, like it's fun seeing like Rondale Moore too. Like besides DeAndre Hopkins, if that continues, where like they're able to like actually distribute, even if it's like a week by week basis, if you could throw some to AJ Green, throw some to Kirk consistently, and then Rondale Moore, the Cardinals are going to be better this year for sure. And they improved last year, so it'll be fun to monitor them. Speaking on the Vikings just a little bit before we move on, I think this is the year Mike Zimmer gets fired, and I think this team kind of blows up at the end of in next offseason.
I think they have to.
Based on
they've been running back the
Yeah.
same guys for so long, and they're just not producing offense and defense.
And they have a lot of money invested in all over the defense, all over the team, honestly. And for me, not Justin Jefferson, I'm talking about guys who are actually getting paid. Like they'll probably keep Dalvin Cook, but it wouldn't shock me if Eric Kendricks is gone in the offseason. And I know they just extended Harrison Smith, but players like that who are kind of a little bit up there in age, I could see the Vikings just kind of blowing it all up. because they're realistically at this point they're going to win like 5 or 6 games, and that's on this talented of a team. It's not like acceptable, but that's where they're heading. So something to watch, throughout the year. Um, Another fun game, 2-1-0 teams. This might be my favorite game of the week. Is Cowboys? Oh no, Cowboys lost. My bad. Cowboys at Chargers. Um, the Cowboys definitely played much better than people thought against the Bucks. I thought they were the better team, for being honest. They just kind of missed some opportunities. The Chargers obviously coming off a big win in Washington. Um, this is a really tough matchup. This is like a really 50-50 matchup. Like, I love Herbert. I love Dak, both top 10 quarterbacks in my opinion. Chargers offensive line looked massively improved, especially considering the matchup. They went up against probably the best number one defense line, or at least top 2 or 3 in the league. And they not only held their ground, like they did very well, especially Slater at left tackle. Dallas have some issues, like Zach Martin's back, but Collins is now suspended 5 games. So that's going to take a bit of a hit, their offensive line, unfortunately. But with that being said, I do think the Cowboys are going to score some points. Like, they're just that good of an offense. So like, I'm not really worried about that. But and the Chargers, it's like, Derwin James also came back and played really, really well. So that's a big, big plus for them. This is tough, but I'm actually going to go down. I'm going to go Cowboys here. Like, I love the Chargers. So like I said, this is 50-50 for me. I might even switch this. But for right now, I'm going to go gut feeling. I'm going to go Cowboys.
Yeah, this game could go either way for me. I would not bet on this game.
Yeah.
It could go either way. Like you said, Derwin James looked great. The whole Chargers offense as a whole looked great. Rashawn Slater graded out as one of the better offensive linemen in the league last week.
He took Chase Young's lunch money again.
So. Yeah. So this Chargers team is going to be a force to reckon with going forward in the future, not just this season, but for seasons to come. And it's going to be a fun division, that division now, with Mahomes. It's just going to be a great division. Justin Herbert looked great against a bad defense, in my opinion. A good defense, I'm sorry. He looked great against a great defense. So I think he's going to have success against Dallas's defense, even though Micah Parsons looked great and they just looked on par with Tampa Bay. Let's not get it confused. Tampa Bay was torching them, right? Tom Brady was getting what he wanted against Dallas's defense. I think Herbert's going to do pretty much the same. Keenan Allen, I think, is going to have a big week. Mike Williams, it's going to be a shootout again, as will a lot of Cowboys games. But I just think riding off like that loss, like everybody in Dallas was like, we won that game. Our defense just gave up a field goal. Like, we earned that game. We got the ball back. We went down the field. We did what we had to do. So I think they're going to go in guns blazing. And I'm just going to have, it's literally coming down to this. Both teams are going to score points. It's going to be a shootout. Herbert's going to look amazing. Dak's going to look amazing. I'm just going to have more faith in Dak Prescott winning a shootout right now. That's just where my faith is. I have faith in Dak Prescott to do that. I think you're going to have a better running game too in Zeke this week.
Especially for my fantasy team, that comes true.
And look, if the Chargers do win, which is a serious possibility, I think I still have the Cowboys winning their division.
So do I. I'm not worried.
It's just a tough first 2 weeks for Dallas. That's it. I'm going to go Cowboys. It could switch. But again, it literally just comes down to me believing in, Dak winning a shootout.
Yeah.
Last drive kind of stuff.
It should be a fun game. So I'm definitely excited to watch this one. Another 4:25 game is Titans at Seahawks. Titans absolutely came out, terrible to start the year. Seattle, pretty impressive, obviously. Russell Wilson scored, I think, 4 touchdowns. Lockett went off. Metcalf got one. I'm going to go Seattle here. It's back. The 12s are back. Like, it's going to be playing in Seattle is a nightmare. And now with fans back, it should be – I'm not going to call it an easy game because Tennessee's talented. But based off week 1, Tennessee have a lot of stuff to fix. And, not saying they can't get better. I think Tennessee, I think they will play better than they did against the Cardinals. I don't see that happening. But I do think the home presence and just Russell Wilson, the way he usually starts the year, I do think it could be a long day. And I do think Seattle kind of win by like 10. This is just one of those games I just feel pretty good about the Seahawks.
Yeah, I just don't see how you could pick against the Seahawks here at home. Just looking at week 1 and how both teams played. Again, I still think Tennessee's going to bounce back. I don't think their offensive line is going to play as bad. Derrick Henry's going to be more involved. Again, Seattle always plays close games. Like it's definitely possible for the Titans to win, especially against Seattle's secondary. But that's the same thing we said last week, right? Like, oh, this receiving core against that secondary, like, oh, they match up great, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Vrabel let Julio Jones have it post game with that stupid penalty he got. So I don't know. He's not in the doghouse. He's Julio Jones, but obviously Julio's going to get his act right. He has to realize that he can't get away with the stuff he got away with in Atlanta. Not with this coaching staff, not with this team that's playoff caliber and they take it seriously. But I don't understand how Russell Wilson is still one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. You could have legitimately made a case that he should have been MVP for the past several years. Like, granted, last year Aaron Rodgers deserved it, but let's not get it confused. Russell Wilson has been a top 3 quarterback in the league for like 7 years now, right? Top 3.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just, it's my Kansas City effect where it's like, unless they play like a team where it's like the matchup is just like too great, like. If Seattle played like Cleveland, I'd be like, oh, Cleveland just matches up beautifully against Seattle. But unless it's a thing like that, which I don't think it is in this game, where I say with the Chiefs, like, oh, as long as 15's on the field, I'm picking 15 to win. It's the same thing with Russell Wilson. So I'm picking Seahawks.
Essentially. I will say this for Seattle. I was pretty impressed by their pass rush. Like I know like Darrell Taylor, who I don't think he played last year. He was like a second, third round pick. He destroyed Braden Smith. Like that's very encouraging to see. Like, and that was the top of like a pass rush that got better last year when they got Dunlap and from the halfway point. So I do think Seattle's defense is actually stepping in the right direction. There's always going to be secondary concerns, but like we said in these games, if you win in the trenches or you get consistent pressure, you can like this Seahawks defense won't be like half as near as bad as it was last year to start the year. So like that's very encouraging, I think, if you're a Seahawks fan. But all right.
Well, we're at Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah. Chiefs at Ravens.
We love this game every year.
I'm not that excited for it this year, to be honest.
Really, these teams don't disappoint us in terms of just a good matchup.
I mean, the Chiefs blew them out like last year.
But do you not enjoy watching it? I think it's gonna be the same thing again. I think the Chiefs might blow them out.
Yeah, I think Mahomes gonna score 5 or 6 touchdowns this week.
I love it when these teams. I just watch loving like Lamar and like Mahomes just go back and forth. I just love seeing both quarterbacks on the same field.
I'll definitely take this game over watching the Rams and Bears. Like, but
so don't get this confused, especially after the Ravens lost to Las Vegas.
It's like a full, like the Ravens are just very banged up and it's only week 2. Like at this point of the year, you kind of expected like almost, the full team to go against each other.
And not for nothing, if, Hunter Renfrow is burning you and Bryan Edwards is burning your defense, Tyreek Hill went off against Cleveland and good safeties and corners. What do you think Tyreek Hill is going to do to you?
This is one of the games. This is like a McCole Hardman game. He never shows up throughout the year, but this is the night he's going to show up. He's going to score like 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, and the Ravens had issues stopping Kelce last year. That's going to happen again. It was like what happened with Waller. These guys.
Yeah, don't get confused. I don't think there is any path for Baltimore to win this game.
No.
Their offensive line and running game is just not good enough what it was in past years to dominate time of possession. And that's kind of what you have to do against the Chiefs. It's like you have to have a great pass rush and you have to play keep away. Like that's just how you beat them. And you have to be able to score 35 points. And even though I think the Ravens could score 35 points, I don't think they could do time of possession, and I don't think they could pressure Mahomes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The Ravens, I mean, they don't need this game, but like for the playoff push, I do think they want this game. Like you never want to start off 0-2. Like you're not going to panic, but I think the Steelers are way better than people anticipated too. And that's not even mentioned the Browns.
But look, we had the Steelers beating the Raiders. You know how tough it's going to be, and the Browns are a lock to win. So if the Browns are 1-1, and the Browns are going to go on a win streak just because their schedule is light.
Yep.
If the Steelers start off 2-0 and you start off 0-2 and you still have to worry about Cleveland, there's a good chance that you miss the playoffs. Like you're not winning the division at that point. If you give Pittsburgh a 2-0 start and you're 0-2 and you don't look good because of injuries, you're not going to win the division.
I always thought the Steelers were going to take one from the Ravens before the year. I always said that. But another team that's kind of interesting. I mean, we haven't even played week 2 yet, so let's see what happens. And the Ravens, playing the Chiefs almost in the year or earlier in the year is kind of better because you kind of already knew you most likely were going to lose anyway. But it would be interesting if the Bengals started off 2-0. That's just like not that the Bengals are going to make a playoff push, but that would certainly be something. All right, so let's end it. Monday Night Football. Lions at
Horrible.
Packers.
I don't know why they would pick this to be a primetime game.
If you think this game's bad, look at the next Thursday Night Football games. The next two after, even this one is
Panthers, Texans. I mean, I just love watching the Panthers play, but yeah.
and Darnold versus like Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, next Monday night's Eagles Cowboys. That's gonna be fun.
No, I said Thursday night games. We have Heineke,
Jaguars, Bengals.
Heineke and Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Tyrod Taylor, and then what's the next one?
Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow.
Okay, that one's exciting. But overall, the team sucks like Jacksonville.
But look, week 5 we got Rams, Seahawks.
The Bengals could really be like 3-1. I don't know who they play like next week, but if they happen to beat the Bears this week, they're going to probably beat the Jaguars, in my opinion.
They play the Steelers next week in Pittsburgh.
They're most likely going to lose. Although they did beat them last year, right? Wasn't it in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing. Well, let's take it week by week. Let's see how this week goes because it's a new week and it'll be fun. But Lions at Packers. This is my survivor pick of the week. So Packers, please don't let me down. Like week 1, I'm not really that concerned. It's only the first game of the year. You come right back home. Oh, actually, yeah, right back home in Lambeau. And this to me seems like a blowout type of game. Like one that's not really that exciting.
Especially no Jeff Okudah.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, quiet week.
Aaron Jones did nothing either. Like
yeah, they're gonna blow up. They're gonna want to get in the end zone.
Didn't do anything. I know Aaron Rodgers is kind of pissed off. So like, I never want to. There's a good chance this man throws for 4 or 5 touchdowns. So
yeah, not gonna waste time on it.
All right, I think that's it. Anything else you want to mention?
Maybe I'll pick the Packers for my Survivor League. It's either between them or the Bucks.
Yeah, I picked the Packers.
Just to play it safe.
Bless you. Yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you. Or the Browns. The Browns, I think, are a lock to beat the Texans.
Were you panicking last week when the Niners were like letting them come back in? Because I picked them as the survivor pick. I was like, oh no.
I picked them as my survivor pick too. So I mean, I knew they weren't going to give it up. It was annoying to see. Like, why are you letting your foot off the gas? Just what I mean, with the turnovers and everything.
Imagine losing week 1 because of that. Like, that would have been bad. That would have been funny, but bad. But all right, we'll see how we do this week on the pick'ems. Last week we went. Our whole league went pretty. The only one who did well was Pickman, honestly. The rest of us were like even or got lucky. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. But all right, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.